Right. Right now, let me get rid of this screen. Okay. Right. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to welcome you again into the house party because I am so excited. A few technical difficulties to start, but oh well. I am so excited because literally, first of all, presenting anything that is giving value and helping others is just my thing. I absolutely love it. But also, like the women who've signed up, and there's so many people who can't make it live, which I completely understand because of the change in dates. But there's so much women, there's so many women signed up to this who know there's like
You've dropped
more
out
in them
again.
than what their business is like currently reflecting. And like this is the place to be for the next 3 days to experience it and uncover your authority edge. So your marketing starts to pull in your dream clients and you're being recognized, you're being desired and wanted, and you are in demand. So I am so excited. Who is excited? Right. Okay. So we are ready to party. The slides don't want to move. We are ready to party. If you haven't already, pop in the chat like who you are, where you come from, blind date style, and what you do. Or actually, if you haven't done it on Telegram, Telegram is a brilliant place for you to do that as well, because I want everyone connecting with each other and us really almost creating a bit of a like mini mind space. Okay. Because I've said this several times, but these 3 days aren't like a standard 3 day training where I'm just going to talk at you. I am going to talk, but it's not just going to be where I talk at you. It's going to be where you actually leave with things to work on, like shifts that have already happened in you. It's about activating like your life of freedom that you want to be creating, where your authority does the selling, and then you get to live that life because that mission is what I am like all about. So to do that, like I've said, we're going to get hands on, hands up in the air, house party style. And we are going to be, there's lots of workshopping windows throughout the training so that you can actually work on this. So get your notebooks to hand so we can make some real time moves. Because having insight and new learning is all well and good. But if we don't implement anything, it's just another notebook that has like zero impact. And I am not here for that. It is the teacher within me. Now, there are some new faces who've actually signed up for the house party that I don't know who you, well, I do know who you are, and I've chatted loosely, but you might not know much about me. So, for the new faces here, I've kept this really short, but this here is a very different Paula to the Paula of 2021 because in 2021, I had spent 20 years as a deputy head. Excuse the dog, I'm sorry. 20, Bella, got 20 years in career and I had been promoted again. Like I was driven. It was teacher, it was leadership, it was strategy, it was education, and I loved it. But I was always like standing out in the rooms where I always felt like I had to prove myself, prove my thinking, prove my authority. Like I never dressed the same. I never dressed in like the power suits that everyone else. And in this picture, purposefully chose this picture, my head teacher told me that I had to wear like a blazer suit jacket to look more professional. And I was like, I always look professional. I just don't look how you want me to look or how you think a deputy head and authority should look. So I hate this picture because that is not how I dress at all. But what happened is I then left. I literally left. I started my business. I did what everyone does, I should say, in 2021. And I did like almost grind myself into the ground, like hosting 3 times a day, like 21 times a week. It was ridiculous. I was working full-time hours in my business, but I left my business. I left my job, I should say, to have more freedom. I was like putting offers and freebies and downloads and new offers like out constantly. And everything I was doing was because I was like trying to stand out. And by the end of 2021, like I had clients, I had 3 different offers which had clients in. I was at like a good place for like my first 7, 8 months in business, because lots of people struggle, but everything felt really hard because I was still doing what everyone else was doing. I was trying to prove myself. I was exhausted. I was trying to be a certain way, like, oh, this is because it was all new to me as well. Like, oh, this is how I should be online, doing what I saw other people doing and doing lots of it. And it was frigging exhausting. It really, really was. So fast forward to now, 2026. And honestly, I could pinch myself. Like, I love my life, my business, what I've created, because these are the things that are in place. I have like maximum 5 calls a week, unless I've got a training like this. I have dream clients, and I have had some which have been tricky because I've learned things over time about standards and what I bring in and who I want to work with. I have high figure months. I have now put in-person events, which I love. And all of that makes me like happier and like freer, make up my own language here, than ever. And it's all because I've got a business that is built from authority. Like, these things wouldn't have been able to happen. These in-person events, these making new friends in business, like taking my clients for a gorgeous day out, doing VIP days. It just wouldn't have happened without being an authority. However cheesy that sounds, it is the truth. But it didn't come from the things that lots of people and other business coaches say you need, which are things like posting more, working harder. And I just want to caveat that. I am not saying you don't have to work hard in business, because you do have to work hard, but you don't have to like be constantly push, do, more. Okay. And it also didn't come from like going for a great brand shoot. I mean, I love a brand shoot, and I've had a couple to really, for myself, for my own evolution, but you don't need them. It isn't what makes the big shifts in your business or the trying to go viral, although viral has happened. And I like then put a training out to share all of that with everyone. It came from one thing. And you know what that one thing is, because it's authority. It came from authority. So I want you to buckle up, because you are all authorities. And we are going to get started with your party playlist for the next 3 days. So by the end of like this 3 day house party experience, you're not just going to have more ideas. You are going to have the 3 levers: recognition, desire, and demand, that are going to create your most profitable year. Whatever stage of business you are at, putting these 3 levers in place are going to create more revenue, more income for you this year than they would have done without tapping into your authority. So today is all about recognition and building that authority that puts your name on every list. Like, people know about you, they speak about you. It's not just, oh, there's that woman, I've seen her, she like wears pink. Can't really remember her name or what she does, but she's good. It is full recognition in your authority. Okay, so are we ready to party? Because I am. Pop it in the chat. So basically, every significant income leap or increase that I have had in my business has never been about another strategy or posting more or adding new offers. It's never been any of those things. It's all come from the identity shift and leaning even further into like why I was the one, why I was the person that my ideal clients should choose. And sometimes that's really hard to like answer. And it's like, oh, well, why am I the one? Like, because all our insecurities and our limiting beliefs come up of to like, well, why am I better than her? Why should they choose me over her? And she's been in business for X amount of time, and I've only been in business for like 3 years. Like, what is it that makes me the one? But when you lean into that identity, and this is what your authority is all about, money follows you. And I know that's almost like a really cliche, almost a little bit of a tacky statement, but money follows who you become when you are at your truest authority. And I do love a little bit of cheese, but cheese is the cheese here is accurate, and it's proof, because too many like brilliant women in business are unknowingly doing things that are making their authority impossible. And when I see them online, I'm like, you've got so much potential, but they're stuck in like behaviors that keep them blending in, which is the opposite of recognition. Like there are things that you may be doing that are actually, you think you're building authority, but you're doing the complete opposite. So I'm just going to go through a couple of those things and see if any of these feel familiar, because even if it's one, that is something for us to rectify and work on so that you are standing out and being recognized. So one of the things I see regularly is people waiting for more proof before they like lead boldly. And what I mean by that is like waiting to have hit a certain income level, waiting to have so many clients, waiting to like have those testimonials that they can share before they have that conviction and confidence where they go, do you know what? I can claim myself as the authority. You don't need to wait for that proof. So that's one of the things. And then scrolling other people in your industry, in your niche, or even just in the business world, instead of trusting your own voice and creativity. And I have fallen trap into this. And this is one that actually can creep up time and time again, even if you've established yourself as an authority. And this is where your boundaries and your conviction come in, because it's too easy to scroll and look to see what other people are doing, and then not quite get shiny object syndrome, but start to doubt yourself and think, oh, maybe I should write my content in that way. Maybe I should design an offer that looks like this. No, because that is doing the opposite of creating your own lane and standing out. Blending in with your content and message because it sounds like everyone else's. And I do use ChatGPT, but ChatGPT to write content is going to make this one stand out even more. It's going to constantly stop you from being that authority if there's nothing in your content and messaging that is unique to you. Okay. Playing like Miss Nicey Nicey and holding back from saying what you really want to say when you know what you really think and what your real perspectives and your real opinions are would actually make like a huge difference to your ideal clients. And that is that needs to be remembered, that you are talking to the people who need to hear this. We don't care about every other Tom, Dick, and Harry around who may or may not judge or think, who's she to say this? We don't care about those people. We care about your dream clients, and they want to hear your real thinking. Reinventing offers, because nothing ever like creates the full demand that you're wanting. You're waiting for people. That makes no sense. You're waiting for people to talk about. Basically, what I'm trying to say there is you may be constantly, you put an offer out, maybe it's a group, you get 2 or 3 people in, but you wanted kind of 6 to 8. So the next time you recreate that offer, you don't put it out exactly the same, or you bin that offer and you could create a whole completely different offer, or you have a huge offer suite. Okay, just because something hasn't created the demand, when you're analyzing and evaluating, it doesn't mean it was that offer. There could just be parts of that. It could be your positioning. It could be the value and how you're communicating that. There's so many things. But if you are constantly reinventing and putting out new offers, it actually can dilute your authority. And then the last one, wondering why the women who are recognized and who are known for what they do, like, don't actually seem much more talented or better at what they do, but they are the ones being talked about. Like if you spend too much time wondering that and thinking on that, that is just going to hold you back instead of owning your lane and moving forward. Because the uncomfortable bit about all of these things is that none of them are behaviors that are going to create you recognition. They create more activity, doing more. They create visibility, but they don't create authority. And recognition happens when your name triggers an instant association. Whatever that instant association is, which will be your authority edge, that's when recognition happens. Okay. So for me, it's the word authority. I actually worked with a top mentor. Like she flies all over the world. And she said to me it was a couple of months ago, and she said, I was in what was it? Not a conference, but I can't think of the right word, conference in America. And on the table, people were talking about authority, and somebody said, isn't that what coaching with Paula? I've changed my name now. Coaching with Paula is all about, like building your authority. She was like, she had this proudest moment. That is exactly what it is. It doesn't have to be complicated, but what do you want to be recognized as? It's like that they have that thought, and it's like, oh, yeah, coaching with Paula. It's Paula Davis now. She's the one who activates your authority and helps you like create demand and sell out your offers. What is it that actually has you being recognized and has you standing out? Because there's no point in working on your recognition and how you're recognized and standing out if you don't know what you're recognized for. So the first step in becoming like the one who pulls your people in without you needing to do more or be everywhere is becoming recognized as that authority. So I want you to like just pause for a moment, and we're going to have a workshop moment on this in a minute. But if I asked somebody in your audience right now, oh, what is she known for? What would they say? Because if you're not 100% sure, or you're like, oh, I think they'd say this, then this is where we need to do a little bit of work. So I want to establish the baseline with you. Okay. So first workshop window. So I'm going to give you like not as long for this one, but just like a minute or two. If your business walked into a party tonight, because we're in party mode, if your business walked into the room, you walked into the room with your business, how would people introduce you? Like, meet Paula. They're not going to call you Paula. Meet Paula. She's the one who. And I really want you to be honest here, like, because I want this to be a baseline. Like, write what you think they would say. And you can put this in the chat if you want, but you don't have to. You can also just put this in your journal, to your notebook to workshop on, because this is part of going to be your homework as well this week, like a proper teacher today. So we're talking about your audience here, basically. When I'm saying walk into the party tonight, how would your people introduce you? Like, what would your audience say about you? Okay. Meet Samantha. She's the one who XYZ. And we're going to come back to this. And it's if you put it in a different context, like if someone had to refer to you in just one sentence to a friend of theirs, because that's what we want. We want people talking about us, about you, to people who they think like need to know about you. If they had to refer to you in one simple sentence, not a chat GPT like whole paragraph that it gives you as one sentence, could they? Could they describe who you are, what makes you stand out, and what you do in one simple sentence? And what would that sentence be? And I am going to, it's almost awkward because I feel the need to talk. I'm going to give you a minute to have a little think about that. I'm just going to check the chat as well. Nothing in there at the moment. That's all good. And if you want to ask a question, please unmute yourself and ask a question while we're in these little workshop window pauses. And then what I want you to think about, so what would that sentence be that they refer to you as? I then want you to look at that and think to yourself, are you are you recognized right now for something specific? Or is it like, oh, she's a coach or she's a virtual assistant? Like you're just a person in the wider industry. So right now, this is our like baseline moment. Is there something specific that you're recognized for or would be talked about for or go to this person for? Okay. Right, we've got like the next workshop window is a longer one. This is our baseline. So, like I said, if anyone wants to unmute and share themselves, anyone wants to unmute and share or ask a question, please feel free to, or pop something in the chat and it'll pop up for me to let me know. Okay,
I'm happy
but
to share if you want.
go on then.
I might as well whilst I'm here, like say it out loud. So I have got three sentences there, or three bits there.
Yeah.
Um, if we're going to a party and I've said, so someone would introduce me and say, Mrs. Samantha, meet Samantha. She's the one who shows mothers that they can have a big career and still be a great mum. Or I've got that motherhood isn't the end of your career or ambition and you can do it your own damn way. And then the one sentence I've put, she's known as the motherhood and career whisperer or cheerleader. Because I'll say like whisperer is like, we talk about someone that kind of works their magic, but I'm not a
Mm,
whisperer, if that makes
yeah,
sense in a way.
completely. So you are, yeah, whisperer immediately is the wrong word then, because if you're like, I'm not a whisperer, don't
Yeah.
claim it.
Yeah, like but kind of in an ironic way of like knowing what whisperer means in terms of like there's someone who has a unique, like the horse whisperer, like they have a unique
Yeah.
gift, but actually using that and then being like, but I won't
Oh,
whisper kind of
okay.
thing. Do you
So
know what
it's
I mean?
ironic. It's like when they get to know you, and almost that's an angle for you as well. It's like, yes, I'm called this because I have this innate talent, but actually, when you get to know me, you will realize I am not a whisperer in the slightest. I
Yeah.
actually really like that claim. That's a really nice claim.
So yeah, I mean, because it's kind of like, yeah. So but cheerleader isn't the right word. Clear
Yeah, but
cheerleader
I
isn't the
know.
right word, but whisperer kind of is, and then maybe add something. Yeah, so something in that. Um,
Okay.
and then I've got something specific. I'm known for talking about motherhood in a real and relatable way. I say the things that everyone's thinking, but are too scared to say out loud about motherhood.
Okay. And how, I'm just going to go straight into a mini coaching session now. How do you feel about being recognized for that in terms of, do you think that stands out from other people who are in this similar niche to you? Do you think do you think it stands out in the industry of other people who do the same thing as you?
Yes and no, um, because I call myself a coach because it's the most recognizable and relatable term,
Yeah.
but I do so much more than that because I feel like coaching, specifically with mothers at this time in their lives, doesn't encompass all of the person and all of the person that's needed. So yes, we are looking forward to create goals but we are looking at the behaviors and why we have those behaviors and the systems that we mother within in order to get us there. So and I'm also I'm a matrescence guide to help guiding them through this time in their lives of massive identity shift,
Mm.
and a mentor as well. So kind of encompassing all of that. So I there's lots of coaching for women, career coaching, but this is a very specific time in their lives that I feel like I do it very differently. And I talk about motherhood in ways that, and I say things that loads of people always say to me, like, yeah, I totally agree with this. And mothers that often talk to you like they're stupid or they've lost their
Mm.
minds. And I always say you've had a baby, not a lobotomy.
Yes.
So, you know, I
You're
say
still
things
a
like
human.
that. Huh?
You're still a human at the end of the day. You haven't like
Yeah.
completely changed. Okay, so
Um,
I do definitely feel like based on what you've just said, like you've got the whole, I'm not going to say this word right, the matrescence. I know what that is as well. I'm quite proud of myself. I used to work with somebody who did that. You've got the matrescence angle, you've got the like real raw, like you say the things that other people might not say, but you aren't just a coach. There's so much more there. There's the career side, there's the identity side. So I definitely think there are other elements which you can pull into how you are recognized because that will allow you to stand out more than I'm just going to use the word
mm,
just a coach who works with mums on their career in its most basic sense. There's
absolutely.
definitely more that you can do there.
Yeah.
So in the next workshopping bit, in a second, that there's going to be some like questions and things that are going to help you pull that out as well. Yay! Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
I like things to be interactive. Okay, so yeah, basically we change slides. We want to the slide. There we go. Being seen in your industry. I hate that term, but it's the easiest term to use. Being seen in your industry is not the same as being known for things. It's very different to like visibility because there are people out there where yes you recognize them but you don't just know their like name and their face, you recognize what they're actually known for. So like if you think of this guy, and I'm just assuming people know the same people I know who are like, well, people I follow I suppose, like if you think of him, what instantly comes to mind? Do you know their name? What are they known for? So you might be like, no, I haven't got a clue, Paula. Okay, so first of all, it's Alex Hormozy. Love Alex Hormozy. And he's known in a weird way for the tape he wears over his nose, but he's like, he could be referred to in so many different ways. He's like the $100 million offers like guy. He is all about value stacking and no-brainer pricing and like how to very, very clean, specific. He very specifically drilled the same core principles over and over about offers, leads, sales, retention, and all of those things like mean he's recognized for what he does. Like his thinking is so sharp and data driven, and he's focused on that one thing. And he's wearing it on his t-shirt. He has like the business like acquisition. He started the app school. Like there are so many things that he is instantly recognizable for. And I know I've like picked big person there. Um, but there'll be other people who you follow who might not be as big as him, world renowned, but at the same time, you will instantly recognize him for something. It's the same with this guy, Stephen Bartlett. Like, what do you instantly associate with him? What do you recognize him for? And for different people, it might be different things, depending on like how they found him, I suppose. But it's like the Diary of a CEO. It could be Dragon's Den. It could be all of it is linked to business. His podcast, like having those real, raw, honest conversations. He goes deep. He's able to pull things out of people. He's reflective. All of those different elements. And then I have to put a woman in there. Who do you think of? What do you think of first? So Mel Robbins, instantly for me, it's mindset, it's the let them theory, the high five method, the 5 second rule. Like those are actually their books, aren't they? Or methods. But with her, it's like those methods that have become so synonymous with her. Like she is instantly recognized for those things. So, what we're recognizing, like all three of those people for, is because of their thinking, because of the perspective that they have in their area, in their zone of genius, and the authority that they have then created around that. So that is what we want to be able to do, because recognition is built from pulling on like 3 different levers. Okay. And those 3 different levers are your edge. So your edge is, it's like this unique combination. I always think of it, it's like pulling strands and then you're plaiting them together. It's a unique combination of your experience, your thinking, the perspective that you bring. What is different? What can you claim? So you might just be a business coach, but actually what you do is you pull out people's authority, talking about myself here, because that's how you know, because it's proven that people stand out and get known and become a household name. So, like, the edge is one lever. The next lever is like your perspective. So, your perspective is obviously your wider perspective on the world, your values, your beliefs. But it's also linked to your niche and your business, what you see in your industry that others might miss, or others say and you disagree with, and you probably don't voice it. It's like your passion, your mission, your why you're doing what you're doing. That's where like the passion piece comes in. And when people have a really clear perspective, it really has them like being recognized and standing out above others in their niche. Now, there is, you might think, because this is a question I've had before, but what if I agree with what all the other people are also doing? It's like, okay, you can still agree with them. You will have a take on that. You will have like why you are so passionate about that, why you believe that. So it might be again, some past experiences or your career, or if we use the example you were saying, Sam, something that like you went through in motherhood and career that actually gives you a slightly different perspective to other people. So you might agree with the commonalities, but actually, what perspective do you bring to the table? That's the key thing. And then the third lever is very much linked to both of those, but it's your position. It's like, what position and stance do you take? Like where, where do you stand and what do you stand for? Okay. And again, linked to your industry. Like I could literally stand, not just stand, I could like, there's that saying at the moment, I could die on the hill of talking about authority and why we shouldn't be using ChatGPT and why we shouldn't be like constantly bombarded with all these content templates and use this and it will make you like 10 million in 10 seconds and all of that. It's where do you come from? Like, what is the passion and the purpose and the mission and the perspective that you bring to the table? That is what is going to have you being recognized and standing out as the authority. So, we're going to dig into these now. Okay. So, when it comes to your edge, your authority edge is basically what makes your work different to everyone else's. Okay. So, some questions that I want you to think about, and I'm going to give you a few minutes for like each of these, is when it comes to your edge, what experiences in your life, in your career, have shaped how you see your work differently to others in your industry? And I just gave some examples of those. Like it could be an experience you went through, it could be something you see other people like have gone through and or have gone down the wrong route for, and actually you're not for that, you know it doesn't work. Is it your career? So for me, example, as a teacher and a deputy head, it really, well, it's hugely shaped the way that I actually talked about this in my in a post yesterday how I've every mentor, and I've worked with lots, every mentor that I've ever worked with, when I'm doing like a free event, free training, has always said, don't, you need to strip that back. Like, don't put so much in it. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving the bare minimum. I am about value and giving you like educational excellence, but not the educational part. But like, if someone's spending their time with me, I am going to give them my all because I want them to learn, progress, get something from it. I want them to leave differently. Like that comes from how I know I work differently to others as a business coach because I've been on the other side of not getting that. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I was previously an accountant and now I'm a fitness coach. So there's not going to be anything that like thinks those things. It doesn't have to be so specific as that. There are going to be strands that you're able to pull out. And another question that you can ask yourself, because this is like having somebody holding the mirror up for you, because so often we can't see what we can't see. What do clients consistently say about working with you and the way that you work? And it might be that they don't say about other people that they've worked with. So that can add to your authority edge. So, I mean, I can only talk about my own experiences here, but I know that I things my clients consistently say to me is how real I am and how giving I am. And that is seen as a negative by so many people who are business coaches, like, oh, you don't have any boundaries. I disagree. That's like my position on it. So that I know that that is part of my authority edge, that I actually give my clients my all because that's what they tell me. And they progress from that. It's not a negative. So I want you to have a think about those two questions and what you could possibly bring from those. So, like, what background or skill do you have that others in your niche might not have? Or what are three words that, like, people who meet you, they might not even be your clients, but people who meet you use to describe you? Is there anything there that links to part of your authority edge? And we are going deeper than I'm empathetic, I'm friendly, I hold space, because those are the things you would assume every single person in the service-based industry has. So it's what else is there? It's going deeper than that. Okay. I'm going to stop talking for 2 minutes and let you have a think. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is our perspective. Obviously, you can come back to these, and I would expect you to come back to them because there's going to be so much you can put into this. So, your authority perspective, this is based on what you believe that your industry, I've put gets wrong, but it's the what your perspective is. It might be that what the some of the industry get wrong, what they talk about that you don't agree with fully, or it can just be like what is your perspective on why the work you do is so needed, but on like a very micro specific level. So it's not just, oh, it's needed because otherwise you're left feeling XYZ. It's like, okay, but why is it needed? Like, what's going to happen if not? Like, why is the way you do it the right way? Like, what can you use to back that up? What is that perspective? So, some questions to workshop on this, and again, I'll give you a couple of minutes, is like, what is something about your industry that you disagree with, but either most other people accept, or that like you keep seeing it absolutely everywhere being spoken about, and you're like, oh my God, this is like my blood is boiling. This is the wrong thing. So that could be something like, um, actually, one of my clients was talking about this the other day, that and it's a bold statement that she was making, but it's like counseling. Everyone goes to counseling because they think it's going to heal them and fix them. But actually, like counseling, you just are talking about your problems for a lot of the time. And while it might work, if you want to shift your problems and actually create change in a much shorter amount of time, then the work that she does, which is like EFT and other somatic work, is what makes the difference. Like, that is, it's not a very specific thing that's talking about, it's more of a generalized concept, and she's really like got a strong perspective on that now. Or like, what do you see clients or prospective clients, like people who could be your clients, struggling with, that the industry keeps telling them to solve in the wrong way, like the counseling example I just gave, like go and put some affirmations on a board and manifest, when actually there's like deeper work to do. Like, there's so many different examples that I could give a lot across so many different niches, because I feel like I see it all the time. But what is your perspective? These are just some questions to like help you dive into that. And through all of these, it is about us and what our edge, our perspective, our position is. But we're doing all of this with our ideal client at the forefront of our mind. So while it is our perspective, we want to make sure this still links to what our ideal clients like struggling with the most, what their problem is that they're looking to be solved. Because otherwise we're just going to go on a rant, and we don't want that. Okay. And a little example of this, just to give you some context, is I put this post up, I think it was about a week ago. And this shows how, when you've got these authority levers in place and you know what you're an authority in and what you believe and what your perspective is and your edge, it so easily turns into content. So this was like literally a story. Like, I saw this pop up on a top business coach's page, and I was like, that is a load of bollocks. They were saying basically how like sales page is where your sales happens. And if you don't have a sales page, you're losing money. I've never had a sales page for my authority mastermind, and I've made X amount of money. My clients haven't had sales pages for some of their offers because it just didn't fit with them and it wasn't aligned with how they worked, and they didn't need to. So we didn't put one in place. They were sold out. So it's a load of bollocks. So, and what gets my goat, this is my perspective, is people out there saying things because, funnily enough, that top coach was selling a program on how to write a good sales page. But it's not true. So there are, and this is your perspective, your belief, your values. Can you see how they like all link together, and how it then can go on to create amazing content? So your perspective, there's going to be a lot of these workshop windows. They are just moments for you to like stop and look out and think. You're obviously going to get the recording of this, but actually this is work that you're going to need to come back to. You're not just going to be able to like answer all of these questions and go as deep as you want to be able to go in the space of our time together today. But then when it comes on to the third lever, which is your position, this is like the clear through line that you have through everything that people go on to know you for and recognize you for. Okay. So what do you believe about your work, the work that you specifically do, the methods you have, the like programs that you take them through, that you could like stand on that stage and defend all day long? Like that's your position, that's your stance. If someone asked you what you refuse to do in your industry, what are those non-negotiables for you? But on the opposite side, what would you tell them to do all day long, every single day? Because that is the most important thing. Like, what is your position? This makes such a difference. And once again, it makes such a difference when it comes to creating messaging and you have an influence over your audience through what you're putting out there because they start to feel something. And when they feel something, that's when they're activated. That's when desire is created. That's when you're creating demand. So you can see why this piece of authority is so absolutely needed to be able to do the rest in your business. I'm going to stop talking for a minute. You can see I have so much to say. And then I did pop a couple of examples just to show how when you again have your position like in place, like what you stand for, and your values, it's not just all like rant, it doesn't need to be all ranty. That's not how it turns into your messages. These are just, I just looked when I was creating these slides, looked at my um grid and I was like, oh, instantly, those are three different posts. They're different posts that all really get my position across. Like, I'm not the kind of leader who turns up to a call and says, so what do you want to chat about here? And I go on to like tell the story about like I am not here for that. And the fact that there are people out there who do that is just ridiculous. We're currently living through the I let ChatGPT emotionally lobotomize my content era, and I'm not thriving from it. Again, it's my position. I created the only mastermind in the industry with a 100% resign rate. Here's the secret. This isn't like a, oh, look at me type of post. Actually, when you go through that, it goes through like what I believe. And that's my position on things. And that's why there's desire and demand and my clients want to stay. So it's your position in lots of different ways. So when you've got, like, I cannot tell you enough, when you have got your edge, your perspective, and your position like really clear, your authority comes together. And then the piece of work is obviously putting that into everything that you put out there. Okay. But I've got one more big question for you. And this might be a question that this will be a question that you're going to need to answer later because I want you to really think about this. But like, what is the change that you want to be known for creating in your space over the next 5 years? 5 might be too long, 2 years, because we're action takers over here. What is the change? Like, what do you want people to be doing or have realized, or the identity you want them to be in, and why? Like, what is this? Goes back to your mission statement. Like, what is your mission? What's the change you want to create? Because that change should then fuel absolutely everything that you do. And it almost becomes the standard question that you ask yourself when you're writing a piece of content, when you're on a sales call with a client, when you're, sat thinking, oh, what should I do? What should I do? Let me come up with some ideas. You go back to this because this should drive absolutely everything. And again, this is where your authority edge comes into play. Okay. So the thing that I see is that so many women already have all those like raw ingredients of standing out as the authority. But first of all, they either haven't identified what they are, but also then owning them is like a big piece of the puzzle. Because, like I've just said, it absolutely leads everything that you do because your edge creates like credibility and trust in you, like from your audience. Perspective that you have positions you like as a thought leader, someone that they want to work with because they love the way that you think, like your values, your belief, and your position shows the conviction that you have behind absolutely everything that you do. Okay. And that recognition only comes when that edge is obvious, the perspective that you have is like clear as day, and your message is repeatable because it is your through line that you talk about all the time, just from lots of different angles. Okay. And this was the case. I just wanted to show it in action with one of my clients, Jenny, who was in the mastermind, is before she came to me, she had never ever sold through her content before, like never. And she's now on track for like six-figure year. She's having multiple, I hate the whole 10K, but it's like an actual figure. I haven't made it up. Like 10K plus month, 10K plus months. And that has the first piece of work that we did was, why are you different from all the other people who are doing what you're doing? Like, what is it that's going to make them choose you? And then we use that, we put it in to her offers and the offers that she created and remodeled. And then we create a demand for that through her content and her messaging. And she is selling through her content. And not just her content, but in her messaging. So her emails, in certain outreach that she does. Like, that is why this is so integral to absolutely everyone. And I will die on that hill because there is some really bad advice out there that posting more is what is going to get you known. It's not. And like visibility and being everywhere, getting on all the podcasts, all the rest of it is what is going to give you authority. It's not. Playing safe. And what I mean by playing safe is like just staying in the lines, in the box, basically, is going to help you be relatable. And when you're relatable, you're paid. Yes, you want to create connection and relatability, but that doesn't mean that doesn't link to you being paid. And at the opposite end of the scale, shouting louder and being the biggest and the boldest is how you stand out as an authority and how you get repeatable sales. But that's not the case, because how you flip that when you have your authority in place is when you own your edge. That is so much more important than posting more. I post less. I said to you at the beginning, like I used to post 7 times. This was at the very beginning. I used to post like 3 times a day, every day of the week, almost. Now I post maybe 3 times a week, but I know my authority. I own my edge. It's what I am saying is convicted. It makes such a difference. And I'm not just recognized, but like my business has grown year on year on year. We would change like, oh, I need to be visible for the conviction. The conviction behind everything you do is so much more important than the visibility. Having your strong positioning, and when I say strong, it doesn't have to be big and bold. You can be a standout authority and be the most gentle, quietly spoken person. I have a client like that. She was like, oh, Paula, I don't know if authority like mastermind is for me because I'm not big, bold. And I was like, no, that's not what it's about. And now she's standing out in her way and getting clients because she has that strong positioning, which is perfect for her dream clients. That's way more important than like holding yourself back. And those repeatable sales come from, that should be an equals, come from speaking as you, not trying to be like anything that you're not. And again, just as an example, like this was Charlotte. In Charlotte's very first session with me, like we pulled out her authority angles. She didn't have a clue what it was. It was like a blank slate. We pulled that out, we activated it. Like she was so convicted in it. It was, ugh. You know what? I just get like feelings with my clients. We created her like standout feature and her recognizable method. We put a simple strategy in place for visibility to start with because that was what the focus needed to be. So it was like top of funnel. And within a week, she brought in 500 warm leads. So, and I don't just mean 500 new followers, I mean 500 people who were in her DMs. Like that is what can happen when you really tap into all of this work. You pull those three levers and then you go on to build the desire and the demand. Because so many women possibly even know their edge, but they still soften it. They still stick to that like whole mindset of who am I to claim that? And they're not saying the things, they might be discounting pricing, bending their boundaries, waiting for some like moment until they go all in with everything. And it might feel uncomfortable, but you need to stretch through this to be able to shift and be recognized as that one to work with. Because as this picture says, you are not here to fit in, you are here to lead. So, our last workshop window, and this is going to give you lots to bounce off, is a little mini, oh, the picture's gone, a little mini authority audit. Where are you softening your authority right now? So, is it in your content? Go and look at your page. That was a picture of my page, but it's not showing up. Um, Go and look at your page. Like, are you actually saying what you want to be saying? Like, is your perspective clear? Is there what you said at the very beginning of this is what I think people would say about me? Does that come through clearly in your messaging? Are you softening your authority by like discounting prices as soon as somebody like reaches out or offering like five bonuses? Are you sharing your opinions? Or if you are, like, are you watering them down or are you not sharing them at all? Like, how are you showing up in that space of authority? Okay. So I want you to do a little authority audit and you can share any of this in the Telegram space. That's exactly what it's for. Okay. Because, like I said, recognition comes from these three levers, but we also need the confidence and the conviction behind them. So the confidence to fully own who you are without softening it, without pulling back, without hiding, without any insecurities coming up. And the conviction to like know your work, your method, the way you created X offer, like works, that you could die on that hill. Like those are the two things that we need alongside those three levers because you don't have to be like holding back who you are, what you stand for because you're worried about something. You don't have to um, do what everyone else is doing or say what everyone else is saying just to feel like you fit in. And you don't have to spend hours like writing content after content after content, only to then like pull your message back so far it probably doesn't even sound like you, or put it into Chat GPT and then it definitely doesn't sound like you anymore because you are afraid or worried about saying the thing, about what other people think. Because doing those things is what is going to keep you blending in. And it is why not everyone makes it. But every time you take that risk of like maybe being judged or putting yourself out there, you get closer to your most profitable year. Like I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it. And I will happily guarantee it. Now, I know this was like a whistle stop tour because you've got the idea now that I like to give so much value, but you've started workshopping how you get recognized as the authority, but then turning that into a recognizable authority brand that your dream clients want to be inside of and start asking how to work with you. That is another set of skills that we need to add to the mix. And that is what we're going to be diving into over the next 2 days. So tomorrow is about desire and specifically like your offers and how we can, again, take that authority and put it into creating a real desire for what you put out there and the messaging that goes along with that. And then Friday is about the demand and how we get that across in content, in messaging, so that we sell. But I have, because I love a bit of fun, if you haven't realized this already, I have put a challenge in place because I run one of these before and I absolutely bloody loved it. So we are running a challenge on a points system, which is basically like you're going to collect keys to the House of Authority. Do you get it? I told you I love a bit of cheese because Like I said at the very beginning, the biggest transformations comes from doing the work and actually like implementing things. So you will be awarded points, keys for engagement in the group, doing your homework, doing your homework, tags on Instagram, any transformations that you share. I'm going to be giving you like lots of opportunities. And because points mean prizes, the person who gets the most keys, points, gets a 60-minute strategy call with me, which we can literally dive into any of the areas that we've gone through in these 3 days together. Second place is a day private Telegram coaching, mentoring with me. So we have the whole day inside Telegram going back and forth. And then third place is a bit of a mystery as well, but it is a 1 month seat in my upcoming space. So that's like a little bit of a mystery, but you know it's going to be awesome. So they should all be first place, to be perfectly honest. Talk about confidence and conviction. So 20 points. You every time you share and tag on Instagram and you tag me. So it could be you when you get the recording, you take a slide, you take a picture of the slide and say that you were there. I sent in the email reminder like a story slide, like I'm going to the house party. If you put that on there, if you go on and be like, I'm doing my homework, blah, 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 you share and tag me, that's going to get you another 20 points. I'm going to set you some homework in a minute. And if you do your homework, you pop it in Telegram because I really want to keep you accountable here and get you implementing this. That's 15 points. And then live attendance to calls get you 10 points as well. So if you're able to make it over the next 2 days, get in there. Okay. So I'm being like mean, teacher Paula, today. Double homework. So, first of all, I would expect you all to do this anyway. I want you to really go into those workshop questions again and really identify, claim, and own what you do differently and why you're an authority. And I want you to share it in the homework thread of the Telegram group. Okay. And I will come back to like your comments. If there's anything I'm like, go a little bit deeper with this. Because I said we're workshopping this, you get value from me. And then the second piece of homework, I just think this is a really bloody lovely thing to do, basically. I want you to think about what do you see as an authority in other people? And I want you to nominate somebody. Now, if you give me their name, their Instagram name, and like why, and we're talking about a woman in business here because we want to like hold women in business up. Like I'm gonna do some authority awards, which I will announce on the weekend, probably Sunday. And whether you know this person or not, whether you've communicated properly with this person or not, or whether they're just somebody you follow because you love what they do, you see them as an authority, I want you to nominate them. And you can just pop this in as your homework. Because can you imagine? I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do this yet. Can you imagine them getting a notification in their inbox of being like, you've been nominated for an authority award and I want to celebrate you? Like, that would just be bloody amazing if that happened to you. So, I want to do that second piece of homework as like a giving back, but also like it's a piece of homework in itself because it's like, oh, if I see this as an authority in somebody else, how could that like translate to me? Like, how can that help me with the part one of my homework? Okay. So, and you're not allowed to nominate me. Go I drop that in. Okay, so that is your homework. That is day one. I've given you so much training, but also moments to workshop in there. So you are able to stand out as the one, be recognized, and start to do the work that is needed. So if you're not already in the Telegram group, I want you to scan the, what's it called? QR code. Because I'll be dropping other bits in the Telegram group. And obviously, that is the place where you can ask questions, share what you're working on with me and the other ladies, but also connect. But I absolutely loved delivering that session. I cannot wait for tomorrow's session where we will be digging into the selling part, the offers, the creating desire for what you are selling. So I will see you all tomorrow, my lovelies. Take care.